12 years, I've been sitting on this conviction that there is indeed something that can stop Satan's Middle East warmongering in its tracks. And that part of that something is right here in Iran. That's right. Let me explain. My interest in the post-9/11 Middle East battlefields goes back to a telecast I watched 6 years after the riveting images of the crumbling World Trade Center were played out all over the globe. It was Meet the Press with Tim Russert. Saddam Hussein was by then dead, but it would take 4 more years before the operation to take out Osama bin Laden unfolded. In the meantime, the public was glued to its television sets, and I was one of them. After watching Senators McCain and Kerry debate the war in Iraq that day, I was left with the strong impression that neither senator had a clue how to end this war. And so, 12 years ago, I began putting my thoughts on paper. What it all boils down to, I said then, is our need to think outside the box. At the time, it was Al-Qaeda. Today, it's ISIS. Who knows what it will be tomorrow? To defeat them, to defeat these forces that are an embarrassment and a terror to millions of ordinary peace-loving Muslims, and a terror to the world, quite frankly, we simply have to think outside the box. To recruit and radicalize not only Muslims, but Westerners too. ISIS has many tools in its toolbox, one of them being the internet. Then why not use that same weapon, the internet, to defeat ISIS? Thinking outside the box. Let me tell you what I mean. It's sort of like the true story of the British Army officer and archaeologist T.S. Lawrence in that movie that I watched during our 15-hour flight from Orlando to Dubai, and Dubai to Tehran, and watched again on the return flight. That movie was Lawrence of Arabia. The setting, World War I. To my mind, much of that movie was about thinking outside the box, as Lawrence, played by Peter O'Toole, tried to convince his newly found Arab friends that the town of Aqaba could be taken because our heavy guns were all pointed out in the Gulf. If we come in from the rear, by land, across the desert, we can do it, he contended. In time, the Arabs, instead of thinking him mad, came to believe in him. After 20 days of riding across the grueling desert on camels, he and his motley band of fighters did make it to Aqaba. There they would defeat the completely unprepared Turks. Why was I seeing this movie now? And why did I feel compelled to watch most of it twice? Some of the warmongering scenes and fighting I just couldn't take a second time. Too much blood and gore. And I never watched them again. But was God trying to tell me something? Knowing the tall order I'd seemingly set for myself of using prophecy to challenge ISIS, was God using this movie to try to encourage or reinforce my thinking outside the box?